Hi, this is Elitom El-Amin, Breatharian. And today we're going to talk about the Kemetic Proverb number 3. And this is real key right here. This is a Kemetic Proverb that has been all over the human family. Everybody heard about it, no matter what religion you're in or what culture you're in. And what it's saying is, the body is the house of God. Listen at that. The body is the house of God, and who shall ever know themselves shall know God. The body is the house of God, and who shall ever know themselves shall know God. It's in ancient Greece. Know thyself is to know God, or know thyself is to know the universe. It's in Taoism, the microcosm and the macrocosm. And in the Bible, which is all around the planet, is talking about, don't you know you are the sons of God, the temple of God, and all this other stuff taking place. I could go on and on and on. But in this day of age we are at right now, we can change the play of words so we can bring it down to earth on what it's talking about so that we can benefit from it. Because if God is inside of you, or at hand, right inside of you, can we tap into that? Get to know ourselves and get to know this power. And if we do that, what outcome would it have for our lives, for society, and our growth? Would it make us happy? Would it better my health? Because we hear that God can do anything, and if this force is inside of us, that means that there's education that must take place on how to resurrect it, how to use it. Now, in the society we're in right now, this society, this civilization we're in, it came a long ways. And there's been civilizations before it. Nobody's arguing that. But in this Kemetic Proverb, which was thousands of years ago, not hundreds, it have resurrected some things in this custodial library that we are still using today and still influencing this civilization. Big time. This one, the Indian culture, and also the Greece culture, the three main ones. We could go into the Mayan culture all around the world. They still have bits and pieces that are influencing this particular civilization. And this civilization is a combination of other time periods. See, we don't think about it, but whenever time you see a brick house, the technology of a brick, that wasn't just created from this civilization. That come from the Stone Age. It just upgraded itself. When you see the copper and the wiring and the metals that we use in this civilization, that come from the Iron Age, the Bronze Age. It just upgraded itself. So civilization is on top of civilizations. So this civilization just can't get all the credit from it. It came from somewhere else. But right now we're in a good time period because we say that we are in an age of information. Now that's a loose word right there too. Information, what does that mean? That means that you are getting knowledge now where you don't have to look at something just with one point of view. The information is you can look at it with different points of views that will widen your perception and make you into what? A person that can have more choices on what you want to do with yourself instead of just one point of view. And whoever knows how to use the information, process it better, and apply it should have a better overall life. Now, this isn't nothing new because let's look at that, what the Kemetic people said again. They said the body is the house of God. And whoever should know yourself, you will know God. Now, could they have been talking about information? Because information never quits. As long as you are a human running around and we're social creatures, we are always using this great brain to make some type of innovation, things better, to communicate. Even our language is the foundation of civilization, because that makes us organize a lot better than other animals and create a lot more. We got a thumb where we can pick up stuff. This is deep now. Just being a human being. And you are under already a human consciousness. Yes, a dog can stand right next to you, but he's under a dog consciousness. Y'all can't do the same thing, just due to the body you in. But the Kemetic people said this about the human being, that your body is the house of God. That's a bold statement. And if you get to know yourself, you will know God. Now, when we look at that word God, let's don't get religious with it, but we got to give it a name. We don't need to say you get to know Christ, know Jesus, know Allah. We ain't got to say that. But since we're in this age we're in now, especially the younger generation, when we start talking about frequencies and vibration and energy, everybody can get a hold of that now. Because, listen at this now. The external technology is taken off like never before. It has been. It's a great Pandora box. However, is this the first time we've been ever working with this electricity? Well, on one level, like Nikolai Tesla, they say that he was looking at a lot of books and a lot of studies from Egypt again. Kemet. That's what it is. Now, could they have been using technology? Now, we don't see no wire poles everywhere and stuff like this, but I seen this new documentary where a woman said, she's a scientist, maybe we should start looking at these ancient civilizations like Kemet with another eye. And if we can do that, maybe they were using another technology that we don't know nothing about. I like that in her, to look at things differently. And when you deal with the sciences, and when we deal with spirituality, what we're talking about is the spiritual sciences. We're not talking about no belief system. We're talking about your body is like the laboratory. It's the bio machine. It's the biocomputer. And the information it gets again and how you use it is going to make a big difference on your overall health, how long you live, the way you get along in this realm. And we're collective creatures. The more people that can get a proper idea, you can have a better civilization, a better community where everybody prospers. Now, I know there's skeptics out there saying, well, due to human nature, that would never happen. Well, that's a person who's not even giving it a try. Overall, people are not bad. Even a mean dog wags its tail. That's the old Chinese proverb. And it's going to take a minute, coming from the last idea of scarcity, wars, anger, the way you grew up, to where we develop into an overall functional society. It's going to take time, and it's going to have some growing pains. But one thing we know, we came a long way. And now we can really meditate and think about these ancient concepts again, that your body is the house of God. Now we're here with the Breatharian knowledge. And that's the name I'm giving it. And I'm saying it comes from the ancient word, anedia, and they probably had other names for it, but it's the ancient word for fasting, which means to eat very little or none at all. Now, our current medical profession, they usually say that a person at least needs a minimum of 2,500 calories a day in order to live, in order to be healthy. But on the advent of this knowledge, that's been broken. You can live healthy life under 2,500 calories a day. But we're not trying to challenge that. We're evolving creatures. We're extremists. And that's what makes the sciences good. Somebody's always challenging the last idea so that we can grow. And we live in a society where obesity, as we know it, has never been on a planet like this, as we know it. You actually got people over 500 pounds walking around. That's incredible. You got people walking around living right now 1,000 pounds. Now, when I say pounds, let me put that in kgs. Because I was talking to this woman a couple of days ago and I brought that up to her. There's people 1,000 pounds. She just looked at me like that wasn't nothing. Because she grew up in another system of weighing the kilograms. So when I brought up to her, oh, there's people that's 450 kilograms. She said, what? See how that language is? Now when she wrapped her head around it with the language, she understood what I was talking about. There's people that weigh that much? Yes. We're extreme creatures. That's what makes us different than other animals. Because we're animals. Your body does show up in nature. Don't act like it's not. That's a problem right there too. You are an animal. When a woman has a baby, she got a placenta around the baby just like a dog or a rat. Nipples, breastfeeding the baby just like a cat. All right? What makes us different is, the big difference, is our brain. Now, we don't have the biggest brain, but what you do have is the most neurons in the brain, in the frontal cortex, which is new in the evolution idea. So when the Kemetic people said this at that time, they had the same body we got right now. They understood their brain, and they understood that we had the most neurons, the most electrical circuits in the brain that made us able to do a lot more. So the only thing they could go off of is they're observing nature, they're observing the universe, they're observing the cosmos, is to say, where's God? Where's God? Right here. The body's the house of God. So you see these schematics they left us, where you see the cobras on the top of the third eye. All around the planet you see these poles or whatever with serpents coming up them. And I'll be telling you that those are schematics. Don't take it. It's a language within itself that lasts the test of time. And what it's showing you is, if you master the physical body to a certain degree, let's make this make sense. Because the body really don't need that much. It does not need that much food. You don't need to eat 3 meals a day. Let's nip that in the bud. You don't need to be overweight. You lose more energy. And I remember a man named, he was on a Breatharian past, Jericho Sunfire said, if food actually gave you more energy, that means people that are overweight will have more energy. Now that's just something to laugh at, but I got to throw it out there. So if you could start living a life, because this is a life of self-improvement also, getting yourself together, and the package of your physical health come with it. Why wouldn't it? There was just some man, he did a good documentary, he was dealing with enhancement drugs for the brain that could actually make you do a lot more. Yes, they do have that in this day and age, dealing with chemistry. There's some brain enhancement drugs that can really make you do a lot more. And he said he was at this meeting where there was a lot of successful people there in different fields, and he asked them, have they ever tried different psychedelic drugs? And all of them put their hand up. Yeah. Not one didn't. Because we're always seeking to try to better ourselves, self-improvement, to change around our lives. And we do got a lot of things out here in this age now that just through certain words can make you do a lot more. I met one man, he's a friend of mine. His life turned around just by listening to that thing, most of y'all heard it, called The Secret. He said 1 minute he was in his mother's basement, that's where he was living. He started listening to The Secret. And 2 years later, he's in this big house in Chicago, good job, all this other stuff. He said, that's what did it. I listened to it day and night. Something activated them to go inside. This is what we're talking about. That's why the Kemetic people said, the body is the house of God. See, this is just a playground we at. Some say it's an illusion. Okay, we could go about that all day long. But you can do a lot better if you go inside, find what you're about, find what you're good at, find what you're not good at. Tap into that quality, and then everything will start laying out for you. That's why Neville Goddard back in the 30s, in the early part of the 20th century, he was preaching out of the Bible, but he said he started really using that word consciousness. Everybody's sharing the same consciousness, whatever, how you want to define it. But he said everybody's at different states of consciousness. And if you want to transform your life for the better, you have to, what? Go to another state of consciousness. And when you get to the state of consciousness, that's what things will unfold out for you a lot easier. And you don't got to use a lot of willpower and all this other stuff trying to force things to happen. The universe is user-friendly, but it's going off of our thoughts. Now, as I say that, this still sounds like philosophy, but let's go to Elon Musk. I love him. And this is what Neil deGrasse Tyson, I love him too, on what he said about him. He said you got a lot of people like Steve Jobs, and he named other names, who did a lot of stuff in their success stories to really bring something to the human family. You know, dealing with the computer, dealing with these different apps and stuff like this. But he said Elon Musk is doing something that is actually going to change the direction of civilization. That's very powerful. Now, what is he doing? Now, he's doing a lot of things. But Elon Musk said this about the human brain. He didn't put it down whatsoever. This is the most powerful computer on the planet, hands down, right now. You got one. All life forms got one, but we're talking about the human being now. So when the Kemetic people said this back thousands of years ago, they said the body, the one that you're in, is the house of God. That's where God lives. That's his address. And if you know yourself, you will know God. You will know that power. So they were giving you credit back then on how powerful this being called the human being is. We can change the external environment more than any other creature on this planet, for both the good and the bad. We already know we can do dealing with bad and good. We see it. But the ocean didn't pollute itself, believe that. But listen at this. Let's take it. So Elon Musk started talking about the brain. So the brain, just like a computer, because it is a computer, it's a biocomputer. It's working with electricity, dealing with the neurons, it's working with information. So he said the input, or what's coming into it, your brain is bringing in so much that you don't even realize it with your conscious thinking. The body is doing things you don't even realize to keep us alive. It's under physics already. It ain't breaking the rules. It's for us to catch up with it, this technology. So the input is doing good at the input. And then this computer we got called the brain is a processing mechanism where it processes information just like your computer. It gets information and it processes it. So this brain that we got again, hands down, is the greatest computer on this planet. We're talking about right now. We ain't even getting into AI yet. But you got to realize what you got. But this is what he said. Then it deals with output. The computers you got when you're working on your phone and your desktop, there's the input, there's the processing, and then there's the output. What's coming out on the screen. So we all got this output. We talk about energy. Nikola Tesla said learn frequency, vibration, and energy. And everybody's trying to seek, how do I get more energy? You're taking energy drinks, you're taking pills. Okay, whatever. But it's the output that's the problem. This is what Elon Musk is saying. So when he's dealing with AI technology, he's trying to create things that will help the human being's output. Because we've got problems at it. It's sort of like we're retarded. You don't know your relationship to nature. You don't know your relationship to the cosmos. And due to how we was abusing our physical bodies, this is where the breatharian knowledge is coming in at. This can be measured because this is a holistic health message. The healthier you become, you know you're on the right path. This isn't me trying to become, people still contact me. I want to become a breatharian. And I've said, did you look at my videos on what I'm talking about? This is a health message. Get healthy first. And when your body start picking up energy by its nature, because it works with energy. That's what it does. You stop blocking it, you're letting it come in more smoothly, you're taking your time, it's user-friendly, because you need time to transform this biocomputer, this technology. I like how Bruce Lipton said this is soft technology. This potential could do a lot more if you understand what you're working with. That's why back again, thousands of years ago, the Kemetic people said, this is the house of God. That's a big compliment. Big compliment. It's the house. It's there. And whoever, that's what the word they use. And they say this person, this group of people, that person who speak the ancient language. It didn't say that. Whoever would take some time out, now I'm paraphrasing, to go within, to find out about themselves, they will find out about this power. That's what they said. But due to the advent we've been in, we went on a great journey externally and not going inside. Not trying to find out who we are, what we can do. So when I'm boldly saying I'm God, why wouldn't I say that? I'm a creative force, just like you are. You're creating your life. Yes, there's external things you have no power over. But if there's anything that you can start declaring that you do got power over is yourself and how you respond to these things. You got the power to do that. That's what we're working on. As you keep growing and growing and growing. And the more you tap into that, you start seeing how the external environment start changing. See, that's why they say in the 7 Kemetic laws or whatever, these from ancient times again, and they work just as powerful as today. It ain't like we got in a new civilization where these things won't work. They studied the human being, they apparently long enough that this is probably what the whole game is about. Because a lot of them is saying that we were going to go through a cycle of darkness due to the rotation of the planets, the rotation of where we're going. So you're going to be further away from a certain source of light that influences us, that stimulates us, that works on our thinking. Don't act like it doesn't. That's why they got a thing where in certain climates where the sun don't show as much, they have more depression. So all of humanity was going to go through this phase, and then we're going to make a rotation back around where you're coming back into those other sources, because there's other sources of energy that are more powerful even than our local star, what we call the sun, that's affecting the planet. Even when you look at a night sky, you're looking at history. It took a long time for that light to even travel to touch the retina of your eye. You are living in something that is awesome. And your body's coordinating with it. It's grabbing the information, it's processing it, but it's how you start putting your output on how you use it. I remember Jasmine said, yeah, this is a biocomputer. Just like on your screen. You're getting the information, you're processing it, and what pops up on the screen is your life. So you're like in this giant simulation. There's even scientists talking about this quantum field we're living in. They're using different words, don't let it confuse you, but all they're doing is talking ancient knowledge. They ain't coming up with nothing new. Like, we admitted that we might be in a simulation. That was already talked about if you look at the wording. Oh, man. So now, going back to that man who was dealing with the psychedelic drugs around the planet, the different enhancements that it could do for the brain that could really better your life, he was going into that. But this is what he said at the end of the day. Yes, those things exist. He said the whole idea was that the brain needs more energy. If the brain gets more energy, you can do a lot more. Ding! That's all I needed to hear. See, every time I hear somebody talking, when I look at the sciences, I see the breatharian knowledge. They saying it, but people are just too lazy or didn't have it, whatever it might be. I'm not doing no put downs. Let me bring that back. But there is procrastinators and stuff like this. The brain needs more energy. So again, going back to these ancient civilizations, they all had these poles and staffs with these serpents coming up And let me break it down to you. Those serpents represent flows of energy. In your spinal cord, you do got energy going up and down. Back in that book, the biography of a yogi, Yogananda said, he hit the civilization back then, during the Industrial Revolution, the start of it. Y'all get electricity going up and down your spinal cord. Now we know more than ever that that's true. You should get the memo on that. And just like an electrical circuit coming through your house, if you want to put in, instead of using your 120 light bulb, if you want to get a bigger piece of equipment that your outlets can't handle, you understand what you got to do to the house. You got to what? Change the outlets. So it could bring in more electricity to handle that new piece of equipment you put in. So if this is the equipment, and we're living in this energy of wireless technology, because this is what we are. I'm not plugged in nowhere. I'm charged up. We all are. But now the brain needs this energy. And it's the organ on the body. And I remember Neil deGrasse Tyson said that when he was looking at the human being in his relationship to eating. And he was going off of his understanding. You know, he's a brilliant man, but, you know, he need to lose a few pounds. I'm saying that out of love. But listen. So the brain needs the most energy out of the body. And if you can start tapping into the resources of your body, this is why they even got brahmachari, sexual cultivation, holding your orgasm so it could go back into the blood, so it could, because eventually it's going back to the brain. Everything rotates around down to the feet, dealing with the blood, and it's coming right back. It's a cycle. It takes about 7 minutes dealing with a healthy body for it to leave the heart, go all around the body, and come back again, and this heart is beating it all through the body. And of course, if you put more stress on the body, the heart got to work a lot harder. See, this is basic 101. But back to the Kemetic people again. They said, this is the house of God. Now, just think in your city right now that there was a house there, and you actually know that God lived in that house. That'd be wild, wouldn't it? There'd be people all over the planet there at that house. I already know it. Sleeping outside, buying flowers, crying, making sure the house get painted, doing the yard. Yeah. So God is living inside of you. Wow. Or that power, which is you. This is where you live. Even this house I'm at now, I'm not going to be here for long. But I'll be here for a while. This is where I've been all my life. So now it's time to enhance it, because I believe what that proverb is saying. This is why I was able to reach some of these achievements I'm reaching now, and I'm just starting. We're just scratching the surface right now. Food is energy. Those are just at the lowest settled energies. And most humans' problem is you overeating. Don't know how to eat. Again, like Elon Musk said, the input is one thing, the processing is the second. People are having problems processing. Should I eat rice? Shouldn't I eat rice? Should I drink milk? Shouldn't I drink milk? It builds strong bones. And somebody saying, no, you don't. And even on that tip, we're in the age now that, yes, you can live a whole life not eating no animals and no animal byproducts and be healthy. There's people still crying about that. I feel better when I eat meat again, and la. There's people already proved that they could do it. Now maybe you have another gene in you got something to deal with. I don't know. Like I said, we're just scratching the surface. But we're not playing games on this no more. So, this is a technology. And I like how Bruce Lipton says, soft technology. We're in a whole nother age right now. And I've been saying this 2020 that we're in 10 years from now, you're going to live in a whole nother civilization that you won't even recognize. Let me repeat. That's what's about to take place. As you see this, oh, they're destroying the system, this and that. It need to be upgraded. You got to start somewhere. And look at the bright side of it. We might as well go ahead and say it. When everybody got put on punishment and had to go in the house, The earth is having a time to heal. Animals running all over the place. Even the ocean, people just going there to pick up the trash now, spitting up all of that garbage we done threw in there. It got a chance to heal itself. Give it a break. Now, if the earth can do that, all it needed was a timeout. Because that was the problem right there. See, the earth can regenerate itself on its own. It don't need your help. It got time on its side. I got to talk about that too. But when you over pollute it and don't give it enough time to get rid of that last input, that's where the problem is at. So now let's take the physical body. The problem is it isn't about eating or not eating. You keep hearing me say that. But you're putting too much in where the body can't process it and get rid of it. Should I repeat that? So when you look at an epidemic of high blood pressure, especially if you weren't born with it, how did that happen? The body's getting rid of stuff. You're using the bathroom, ain't you? But you're putting too much in. And it became a drug to a lot of people. One of the big culprits too is sugar. Very addictive. And I was even with a friend a couple of days ago where they said, this is crazy. I just ate and I'm hungry again. And I said to them, well, as soon as you compromise the system and put something in it, it does have that activated on your mind. It would do that to me right now. Now I'm not saying that, but I got a lot more skill, to know what it is. But the average person, they still don't have control over their body. But what the ancient Kemetic people were saying, that the house is the temple of God. And once you get to know how it works, so that's what I'm telling you, how it works. If you overeat, you're going to be hungry the next day. And you're in this cycle. But if you, know that this is the house of God and you know how it works and you start working on yourself, you will know God. It didn't say you might. How you think God would look at this realm? He's looking up. See, we was taught that he's on some cloud looking down. No, he's using these eyes, talking through this mouth. Clarity of thought. The neurons ain't being restricted. That's what you want. See, that's it right there. Dealing with this great brain we got, which is a supercomputer, hands down. And your brain is an extension of this supercomputer. That's why you want to start enhancing your body. Getting it on track to get these energies to start fueling the brain. And the body is so magnificent. It's already hooked up with the external picture. That's why the ancients was even talking about this in all ancient cultures. You'll run into it, but they keep talking about physical immortality, but the mind still can't wrap its head around it because you've been seeing so much death. Even yourself, I don't know about all that. And it's regenerating. We know it. But it's the effort and the things we got to break away from. Now, does this civilization right now support that idea? On many fronts, it does not. See, just for you to be listening to this video, you are in a certain privilege that many can't even afford this, can't even see it. And they were put there because when we look at democracy, this really isn't a real democracy. Why would I say that? Because this democracy on how it's being done, poverty is the engine that keeps it going. Of course, poverty is man-made. It could be eradicated once we get our thinking caps on. And I like how Osho said, I'm over here in India, and he was talking about the democracy isn't the problem over here. It's the old tribalistic idea of the people. And we like to point the fingers at politicians and the rich, but the average person got that tribalistic idea. Put you in office, the first thing you be doing is what? Giving your family and friends positions, even though they ain't qualified for the job. Uh-oh, did I say that? Yeah. You use somebody, the first thing you want to do is do good investments, right? So you won't lose it right away. You'll fall into the category just like many other people. When you throw it on the stock market, As long as you're getting a good check coming, you don't care how it's being made. That's why that's a Pandora box. They don't care about tearing down the rainforest. They just care about the numbers. So everybody could get trapped into it. That's why this is an everyday. No destination. You're living life every day. You find yourself getting edged off, you come on back so you can get to know God again. That's inside of you. So that's why wealth does not bring happiness. Why would I say that? Because we got a big enough statistic to see that. There's people out there miserable and got everything materialistically imaginable. But happiness can bring forth wealth. We ain't telling you to be poor. But happiness can bring it. And half of the things, once you get happy, you won't even want them no more. Because you know it'll get you caught up again. You get tired of that. You only can wear one pair of shoes at a time, and you don't even need to wear shoes. Just carry a pair for you when you need to go in places to say you need shoes on. Especially if you want to go that route. But here we go again. The Kemetic Proverb. Thousands of years ago they said this. Now let's talk about time. See, people don't know numbers. They really don't. You might as well go ahead and admit it. Even when you took algebra in high school, that was a waste of time because you ain't going to never use algebra in your life. Only if you're an engineer or something. So people don't know numbers. It's sort of like when that oil spill was going off in the Gulf of Mexico. They were saying how many barrels a day was going off. But people was looking at it because it's out of sight, out of mind, especially if you weren't in that area to see it. They don't know the numbers. I said, whoa, that's terrible. That's the end of the world right there. They don't know numbers. And when you deal with a barrel of oil, about 40% of it goes to an automobile. 60% of it goes to this civilization. Mostly everything in your house right now, as you look around, or if you outside and look around at the things that are man-made, oil was involved. I just bought some coconut oil. Now this is in a plastic bottle. But it ain't so much the coconut oil. We're talking about the oil in the earth. It took part in making the plastic that made this. This cone. Oil took part in that. Your glass in your house. This book, just to make the cover. The paper. Oil took part in that. So that's why you live in an oil civilization. This ain't talking about no automobile. But you got to get educated what they talking about. We say, we just need to stop this. And then you're looking at your whole livelihood. That's the problem. You got to get educated. And people don't know numbers. It's sort of like, and I got to bring this up to coronavirus. They got a 99% recovery. This ain't nothing. This is just like the flu. No, it's not like the flu. Now let's do the math. So you can get an idea what they're talking about. I'm just throwing it out there, not saying it's right or wrong on the decisions that's being made. But I just want you to look at numbers again. So that means 1% dies. 99% recovers, 1% dies. So let's take the American population, 330 million people. I'm just throwing that number out there. 330 million people. What's 1% of that? 3 million. That means 3 million people, if everybody got affected, 3 million people going to die. Now the ball game changes. Whoa, 1% is bigger than I thought it was. Now, I come from the city of Akron, Ohio, where it got a population of 250,000. Listen to that, it's 250,000. That's a medium-sized city. So take 4 of those and put them together, that's 1 million. Wow, that's a lot of people. That means my whole city is gone and 3 more added on. Now let's put 8 together, 8 of those medium-sized cities. That's 2 million. Wow, that's a lot of people. Now let's put 12 together. When you start doing the numbers, you start looking at things differently. Yes, 99% people recover, but that 1% is going to be a big number. That's not a fluke like that. We got to bring it out there so you can start wrapping your head around it. So again, when we deal with the breatharian knowledge, And I'm bringing up these numbers so you can know the numbers, because there's a number game going on with your body. When you go get a checkup, the doctor's coming back with this paper after it's over, and it's a numbers game. Your blood pressure should say a certain number, such and such over such and such. Your glycerites and all these other big words, but they all got a number going to them. If you fall below those numbers, then they say, what the doctor say, come back and see me. If your numbers is right, you can walk out that door and say, whatever you're doing, you keep doing it. So as you're playing a numbers game with your body, this is why I'm saying that the body's under what? Physics. Those are numbers. It ain't like you out of the number. Even a total healthy man got a number to make him healthy, and a total woman on her body got a number on it. And when it falls under that number, that's when the organism is sick and you want to get it back in that number. And it ain't strict. It ain't saying you got to be right on that number. There's a give and take where you can play. That don't mean you're going to live a life not doing nothing. You can't touch nothing. I'm dealing with some man now. He got a conspiracy theory for everything. Do you know when they do this to you, that would do this to you? Your body ain't that weak. It's designed to take on stress. Live a little. Oh, man. But anyway, there's a number. So when we start dealing with these numbers on the breatharian knowledge, again, you want to get to the point, because even people who's into fasting, more regularly, all of them got the same testimony in mind. About the third or fourth day, I didn't feel hungry and I didn't feel thirsty. Now, we ain't saying keep going and you're going to become a breatharian. That's the problem. Okay, you did good detoxifying. Now, when you come back into your food consumption, try to go into it differently than before so you won't pollute yourself like you did before. Start looking at more caloric foods where you have a higher energy quotient. Because every time you put something on the body, it does put more stress on it, and it changes the thinking and all that other good stuff. So your body start getting used to that new program. Because the Kemetic people, again, they had that serpent up there, the pharaoh sitting up there. That was a representation of him mastering this physical body. Because on the last one I said that you want to get to the point in your human achievement where this has no concerns. It can't go past hunger. Falling out all over the place. Not this body. Our ancestors used to migrate miles. They had no fast food restaurants to go to and all this other stuff. And I'm talking before even horses and carriages. Walking. Longest walking animal, all this good stuff. Now, we're not talking about going back primitive. You still are to be the scientist to create more things. But now you start getting some sense to start making things more user-friendly for the environment and other people. Now, some people take this too far and they go too primitive and it gets out of control. I see this one community and I'm like, why are y'all living like this? Well, the government, okay, here we go. Half of their teeth is bad. They talk about holistic stuff. Why don't you go get your teeth fixed? The dentist is right there. No, they try to do. He ain't got rubbing his hands together. He went to school to learn how many teeth you got, how to replace it. And if you were such a good society, you'll move far from it. There's places on the planet you can move far from it. These people are living close enough to the edge so they can sponge and use the technology. Oh, I might as well say that. And then bust everybody else out for working and stuff. But as soon as you spend the money on them, they ain't saying no, sponge it. Use it as an excuse. We got to go there. So some people's spirituality hurts them because they're trying to use it as a tool to escape the world. We're not telling you to escape the world. Even with the breatharian knowledge, they get in their mind with the old spiritual idea you're supposed to lead the world. But dealing with this Kemetic Proverb, it's just saying that this is the house of God. You need to give it more value. And when you give it more value and understand what you're about, what your talents is about, the things you were gifted with, the things you need to correct, nobody's arguing that. We do got things we pick up from family and all this other stuff dealing with genes. But you can correct it. You stay consistent. And then you will know God. You will know your power. You'll be good at it. You'll be magnificent. You'll be a whole nother human being. With that halo on the head, that's another representation of energy. This needs the most energy, but will make somebody a saint. They figured out they could enhance. That's what those enhancement drugs was talking about with the guy. It's all about giving the brain more energy. Well, won't you just start living a different lifestyle that's holistic? All that energy coming from the sun, the earth, your body's bringing it in through breath work. That's what it's doing. That's why you feel high. And let me bring that up about high. The brain needs stimuli. It got all these neurons in it, and the neurons does not stop firing as long as you're alive in that body. So I know what throws everybody off is about this no mind and all of this. So that's why meditation is a so loose word to put everybody on this wild goose chase. And I remember Osho said something real key. You don't go try to stop your heart, do you? Well, no. You don't try to stop your kidneys, do you? Well, why are you trying to stop your thinking? So as these thoughts is going through your head, they're just telling you to observe it. They will slow down on their own the more you sit there. Usually we got about 90 to 80,000 thoughts. It'll start dropping down to about 30,000. Those who are fortunate, 20,000. But act like you're going to be sitting up there and nothingness. Tell me how that works for you. I know people say it, but all you got to do is look at their performance in life. That don't show you what to that realm at all. So that's why I said God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son. God loves the world. When you understand your God, you're giving yourself. You're giving your talent. You're giving your expertise. Changing lives. Changing the neighborhood. And to change the world, you ain't got to do nothing big either. Just say hi to somebody. That's a ripple effect right by itself. Oh, man. And going back to this high, since the brain needs some type of stimulation. That's why people usually get onto the what? The drugs, the alcohol, the sex, the food, right? And I could go on and on and on. Making money, shopping. Those are temporary stimuli for the brain to give you that uplifting feeling. And that's what we're going for over and over again. But it can never be fulfilled. So that's why you get caught in that cycle. But once you clean yourself out and get into a purity of thought, that is the best high. And to show you that I'm telling the truth, I met a person who loved to get high with the weed. And we was talking now, sitting there smiling. Why are you sitting there smiling? Don't tell me. She said, don't tell me you're high on life. And I said, you read it. I am. I'm high. So pretty soon we were talking, and then she went to physically go get high with the weed. When she came back, she said, now I know what you're talking about. I thought I was getting high, I didn't go high. My mind just dropped. So you're really not getting high. That's the illusion. The highness is purity of thought, purity of mind. That's the high. And it's so high that's why when you're on the Breatharian journey, it's a process. When you start cleaning yourself out, you want to take your time because this energy is so magnificent. It's all around us, and your body's working with it. You cannot handle it yet. Have you ever heard those things? If the Kundalini come up too fast, you could burn it yourself and all of this? Because your circuitry ain't built up yet. You can't handle that high. You have to grow into it to maintain it a lot longer. I'm high right now. Literally. I don't even feel my body. So this is what it's talking about, because I understand this is the house of God. The leg ain't hurt. There's no pain in my back. It used to be on that other lifestyle, that other idea. But when I understand what the Kemetics and the other ancient people were saying, oh, they already left the diagram for us. But it's for whosoever. Oh, I got to go inside. Now, what did that mean? Start working on yourself from the inside out. We ain't got to make it spooky. People coming back with all these spooky stories. They saw Baba G, they saw Jesus and stuff when they went inside. Okay, whatever. I don't know what your mind is thinking. But I do know one thing. You only manifested even on those stories due to your cultural influence. I know because I've been around the world. I listen to it all the time. I'll be like, okay. And as I'm looking at their physical body, I see a whole nother story taking place. Oh, man. So again, man or woman, know yourself. Man and woman, know yourself. The house is the temple, or the house of God, the body is. And whosoever know yourself. Not know nobody else, your husband or your wife, you don't know them. Everybody's body is different, everybody's different. You don't know your children. They don't know you. There's no things about you. You got to go inside and know your equipment, what you're about. You understand? Start working with it. Overcoming it. He shall overcome. You overcome the world. That's what these things are saying about. You have overcame. And what that does is you start looking at the world with another perception. Do you know that I see a bright future for humanity? I think I'm the only one talking like this on these spiritual levels. I'm not tooting my own horn, but some brother just called me and told me that. I didn't know. He said, yeah, when I listen to these other speakers, they talking doomsday, darkness, and I see you skipping around places and smiling, and that's all I see is a bright future. Because the energy, I'm lit up. I'm high. Oh, man. Best high around. And I made somebody happy yesterday. They made me happy. That was another influx of energy for the high. So I want to do more. Like they said, Elon Musk is going to change civilization. In my mind, I'm going to change civilization. I'm going to show people how to get high. Get more energy into their body. Letting those things go that don't mean nothing. Some things, your situation you go through, all you got to do is look at it and say, is this going to mean anything 5 years from now? 9 times out of 10, no. Oh, okay. Keep going about your business. And of course, there's people out there, and all it is they see your light, you know, because I kind of got sharks all around me, but it's cool. I just keep me in line. But you are affecting them to do better too. See, jealousy and enviousness, it's a feeling that a person feels, and yes, you do activate it out of people. It's a feeling that you feel where it makes a person look at themselves. Now listen at that. They ain't mad at you, they looking at themselves. That's what you made activated. Because they know they just looked at God and said, oh, I'm going after God, which is themselves. Oh, I should be doing more and this and that. That's what happens. So you just keep on being you, letting your light shine, keep going forward, don't care what nobody else say, and get to know God, which is to know yourself. And when you do that, I guarantee. See, the Egyptians, one thing about them, or the Kemetic people, they were very precise when they were logging down these things. That's what I see. Very precise. They just weren't put up there just to play games. So if we start meditating on these things and putting it to the test, I'm sure you'll start seeing this great unfolding taking place. So again, I'm about to go take me a nice walk and wave at everybody. That's what I'm about to do. Because all I see is a bright world. Singing, whistling. Oh man, but this is what it's all about, the Breatharian knowledge. And then you having a relationship with God, which is a relationship with yourself. Once again, this is Elitom El-Amin. I hope you got a lot out of this. Peace and blessings. And have the best life ever.